Hello and welcome to this special live stream from us here at Making Stories about all things Kids Collection. I'm Hanna Lisa and over there is my wonderful, lovely friend and colleague Claire. Hi Claire!
Hello!
And I hope you're all well. I hope you're settled in with maybe a cup of tea or a coffee and you're able to see us okay and hear us okay. If there's anything that you would like us to know or any questions that you have, just comment in the chat thingy and then we'll be right there to answer your questions, because this is really what this is all about. We're going to chat about the samples for the kids collection and a little bit about the inspiration behind the designs. And we're here to answer any and all questions.
Yay! It'll be fun. I'm excited.
Me too. So, a quick overview of the kids collection. So the kids collection is a digital-only collection that we published about a week ago that contains 8 beautiful patterns, all sized from newborn to age 6. And it's filled with lots of accessories and garments and cuddly things. Cuddly things
Very
being
cuddly
my
things.
Very, very cuddly things. They've all been designed in-house by us, and the full collection is available as one ebook, but also as individual patterns. And if you buy a few of them, then you get a discount. So yeah, there's that. If you're watching this, maybe do say a little hello in the chat box so that we know who's here, because we love chatting with you. This is always so much fun. Okay. Claire, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me anymore?
Now I can hear you.
You can hear me now? Okay. Awesome. It's because I clicked over to YouTube to watch a thing, so I've gone off it and I won't go near it again.
Ooh.
You just keep your eye on it.
I will. Don't you worry. Hi, Patrice. Lovely to have you. So, yeah. Claire, do you want to say a few more words maybe regarding your designs of the kids collection before I jump into showing the samples?
Sure, yeah, that'd be lovely. I think right from the beginning when we were chatting about the collection, one thing we both, I think, wanted was something that looked super cute on little kids, because that's kind of the aim, but how would they not look cute? But also something that would be, patterns that would be nice and soothing, because let's face it, I think if you have a little one or expecting a little one, or even if you're gift knitting, you kind of want nice, relaxing patterns that I'm going to assume if you have a little one or if you're expecting your energy's low, you only have so much time that you want to commit, or you can commit to knitting. So I think for me, designing patterns that you could very easily pick up and put down whenever you had a few moments, that's kind of where I approached all my designs from. It's also how I like to knit. If I have to go and searching through, this is why I'm terrible with lace. If I have to look where I'm up to and try and work it out, then I've just lost half an hour of my knitting time because I couldn't remember where I was up to. So yeah, I just wanted to design some really nice, soothing, relaxing patterns that also look super cute. So you'll find a lot of the patterns that we have, or all of them, if there's shaping involved, it's very intuitive. It's the same with the color work. We just wanted to make it quite fun, which is why for some of the color work patterns we do have little coloring in charts as well. So then you can be a kid yourself and get coloring in, but also because then you can kind of print out your chart, use your own colors and follow it that way. I'm also a big fan of trying to, even though most patterns are digital that I work from, if I can work out what I'm doing and be off my laptop or iPad as much as possible, I'm also a big fan of that, which is why I was excited about the colouring in charts, because you can print off colour in and then just sit and do a bit of relaxing colour work.
Yeah.
Because both of the colour work sections in the patterns I designed, so Take Flight, which is the balloon, and Embrace, which is the sweater, there's no shaping at all in that colour work. There they are. So there's no shaping happens at all there in the colour work. So you can literally just sit down with your little colouring in chart and knit away and watch Netflix and relax. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was my approach to all of my designs. Make them as fun a knitting experience as possible. Fingers
And
crossed.
and I can attest to the fact that they are. So I've knit Embrace, the sweater, the colorwork sweater that we'll be talking about in a second. And I currently have one of Claire's other patterns on the needles, which is the little cowl. And both of them are definitely what I call the potato chippy kind of knitting. You just want to get to the
Yeah.
next round or row and then the next one and then the next one. While at the same time, they don't really require you to overly think about what exactly you're doing, which is great.
Yeah.
So my test for this collection is, can I pick this up while I'm at the playground watching our little one play, or while I'm up with them in the morning and they're playing and I just want to knit a few rounds,
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of color work, maybe we just start with these.
Yeah.
So this is the beautiful, absolutely gorgeous balloon pattern. If you've watched our latest podcast episode, you will notice that I have actually attached the cute little basket again, that our lovely little one, Orin, had ripped off. I'm not entirely sure where the Claire put a beautiful, like a little cardboard disc in here that made this more basket shaped. So that's definitely something that you should consider doing. I don't know where that went. What?
Don't you worry. I think as well with things like that, they're gonna get well, that should be floating above the nursery,
Yeah,
all
that should
serene
not
and
be.
everything.
Although the thing is,
But
like, it's so squishy, like Orange just loves using this as a pillow. He's like, ooh.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing, it is squishy and it is,
Mm,
things like that they should be mauled with and used
yeah.
and and look, it's sprung back pretty well. The basket's a little bit mushed, but honestly, and this is one of the things that I've written in the pattern too, the basket is kind of there's instructions for knitting that basket, but it's also a really good opportunity to get a little bit creative with it as well. And
Mm,
especially if you've got slightly older kids and you're knitting it for a new thing for a nursery, for a new baby, or whatever, or they just want a balloon in the kids' room, you can also do some really fun things. Like I was even thinking
true.
afterwards, like a little yogurt pot after you've done it, you could like decorate it up and put
Mm.
little holes in it or anything you wanted to do. I saw Marina weaving baskets. She sent me a picture of these little baskets she's been weaving, and she said that'd be
That
perfect
would
for
be
in there.
perfect. Yeah.
That's quite an extreme basket making for this project, but if you want to try things like that out, I think, or anything you've got in the house, you could totally do that if you didn't want to knit a little basket. And I think that's the fun thing about patterns like that. You can get a little bit
Mm.
creative and put your own spin on things. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was really happy with how Tape Flight turned out in the end. But we had a few issues. I've actually brought
Ooh, have you
number
brought the
one.
first
I
version?
brought it to
Show it. I
so
think it's fun. I
I
think it's
am.
fun
I'm gonna show it.
so that people, know that like designs they go through quite a few
Oh
iterations.
God, especially my designs. So a little bit of context. It had been a really busy week, and I hadn't got to doing a ton of the designing in the week. So I spent the weekend, I thought, nothing's happening. I'm going to sit and design, take flight this weekend, and I'm going to knit it. And I was going through and I was all excited. And the entire time I was knitting this thing, I was thinking, this looks like a balloon. I have absolutely nailed it. First try, we're good to go. Then about midnight on Sunday, I stuffed the thing and ended up with an Easter egg, basically, is what it looks like. A very exciting Easter egg, and I was really like the color work has stayed pretty much. It's changed slightly, but this had a whole other section on it as well. So this was like a funnel bit that came out where where this like, oh, sorry, the sun's like come out and attached. So where the white ring is right here, it had another whole funnel bit to kind of to represent where the flames come out. It looked bizarre. Like it looked so good up until putting the stuff in it, and then I was like, but what is it now? It looks so weird. Um, so yeah, it wasn't the most. It was one of those moments that's like,
But look
should
at
I
that.
cry?
And I
No.
love also the change that you made to, the color and like
Yes.
starting with the one color, solid color here, and then having
Yeah.
the color work
That's
here
the
in the sort of
thing.
top part of the balloon, and then here, because it just looks like it looks so airy and floaty this way, I think.
It makes more sense, doesn't it? It was,
Yeah.
I'm one of those, yeah, and I had this weird stripe on the top of this one, which I thought was a nice idea, and I hated it once it was done. But I'm definitely one of those designers that I need to go through the process of it. I can't just see it
Mm.
in my head and then it be, which I thought I'd done finally, and then I hadn't. So once I had this, even though it was a lot of work, and then I was bitterly disappointed when I stuffed it, because I think I spoke to you on the Monday morning. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's been the worst. But once I had this here, I could see exactly what needed to
Mm.
happen with the shaping, and that the color work was pretty, but it wasn't quite working, and it needed that balloon shape more. So it went through a couple of different like moments, as did I with it. But definitely got there, and I was really happy with how it turned out because it actually looked like a balloon
It
as
looks
opposed to an Easter
absolutely
egg.
stunning. And this is really something where I think, like it fits in so many different, contexts, no matter how your nursery looks like or your kid's room. I think
Exactly.
it's a beautiful gift if you want to knit something for someone who, is about to arrive on this planet. Um, and
Exactly.
I think really for this one, it's also such a fun project that you can do with older kids because of the coloring chart. Like I hadn't even thought about that
Yeah,
before you mentioned the yogurt pot, but you can totally get them involved. They can
totally.
color it
Yeah,
in and you can just knit it and then, they can put together something fun for the basket. Yeah. And I also love the
exactly.
yarn that you used for it. Um,
Oh, me too.
yeah, so this is Garthenor Yarns. One, like, we love working with them. They're a UK-based family-owned business that does all GOTS organic certified yarns, and this is their beacon space. It's a decay weight, and if you know Garthenor, you know that they started out with all undyed yarns, which are absolutely stunning, but they introduced a
Yeah.
few absolutely gorgeous dyed bases over the last few years, and this is just like the colors are so good for color
They're
work.
gorgeous.
They're
I
absolutely
absolutely love them.
gorgeous. Yeah.
And then there's some of my absolute favorite colors as well, like the corals, and then with
Mm.
like that little bit of minty blue in
Yeah.
there. It's just so much fun. So I had a lot of fun putting together the color work for it.
Mm.
The yarn's lovely to work with as well. It's one of those yarns that's if you're new to color work, it's a really nice one to start off with because even though it's like a sport DK, so it's not a super heavy yarn, but it's really smooth and really soft. But at the same time, it's
Yeah.
like everyone always says about sticky yarn, but it's like it will kind of hold itself together, which always makes working out your tension with color work a lot easier in the beginning when you're first starting out with color work. So if you're a fairly new knitter and you're looking at the color work projects, all of them have kind of got that this kind of yarn to go with them that's kind of
Yeah.
like really forgiving when it comes to doing color work. So
Yeah.
it makes it a lot more enjoyable than trying to do it with like a slippery yarn, which is just a nightmare with color work straight away. Oh, the sun's coming back out again.
True. Ooh, nice. So yeah, just wrapping this up about Take Flight. So the creamy white color, that's called rigging. The coral is koi, and the minty one is spearmint. Is that correct?
Spearmint.
Yeah. So those are the colors that we used or Claire used for the sample. And a little pro tip. So if you're watching this live or if you're watching this at any point, I think during this week or maybe next week, Garthenor is preparing a big relaunch of their Beacon space. Super exciting, which is why
exciting.
all the current stock is on sale. They didn't pay us to say
tempting.
this. It's just a really good deal.
I spotted it the other day and I was like, ooh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is one of the color work patterns. Again, the open invitation, if you have any questions, do send them to us in the chat. Also, maybe just say hi because we love hearing from you. The other color work pattern that Claire designed for this collection is Embrace, this super cute sweater that has a color work yoke, and then also a little color work section at the bottom. And I think this is super, super good. Also, there's a little bit of thread on here. Prepare your samples before doing a YouTube live. I was running around trying to convince my lovely partner and my absolutely magnificent child to go to the playground up until 3 minutes before we started, more or less. So
I know I sent mine outside as well.
Yeah. Anyways, again, I think this would be a really nice project for first-time color work. Or, if you've been thinking about knitting a color work sweater for yourself or for any other grown-up, and you kind of want to explore this, and you have a little one in your life that you can knit for, because color work yokes, they're not super tricky, but I find it's nice to have a little bit of practice, with attention and everything. Ooh, hello, Tilly.
Tilly's finally decided to come up. She's just been staring at me for the past 5 minutes. Like, why are you sat on that side of the couch? I completely agree. And actually, if you're not familiar with sweater construction at all, knitting little sweaters is actually a really good way to get into it.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this and you're like, ooh, I've got a little one in my life, but I've never knitted a sweater before, this is a great gateway sweater to knitting yourself all the sweaters, which is what I do. Because it's got very simple construction. There's like gentle short rows for the neck, which will give you a good introduction to short rows for shape, like lifting the back of the neck. It's got very simple shaping through the yoke, so it's quite intuitive shaping. And then the color work section is, again, there's no increasing throughout the color work section, so you just knit that straight. So there's nothing to like stress about there either. So it's a really nice first sweater project, I think, just to get you kind of used to that kind of construction, and your little one will have a cute little sweater at the end of it.
Absolutely. And I love the little details. I mean, I really love twisted ribbing, so I think the neckline is also nice because, you don't want them to be too tight over like a little one's head.
Exactly.
Because that's just always a fight, and so this is nice. I think this has just the right amount of shaping so as it doesn't slip from the shoulders, but you also don't have to force your kid's head through the neck line.
Yeah, I designed the so I think the first 3 sizes in the pattern, I designed those with a wider neckline that I typically would for like an older child, or when you're used to like pulling your head through the hole. So the first 3 sizes have I think maybe the first 4 have a slightly wider neckline. Almost giving it more of a boat neck than a crew neck, which the older sizes have definitely more of a crew neck shape. So the size that Orin wore, it's definitely more, I'd say, between a crew and a boat neck, so you can get it over the little one. Because I think, remember, we went through like a couple of different things of where I was going to put a button on the back at one point, and it got quite complicated, and we settled on just the wider neckline, and I think it worked really well in the end. So
I think it does work super well. And the thing with the button is that I'm always on the lookout for really cute baby and kids patterns, and I'm really put off by buttons because it's just too fiddly. And honestly, I don't have a huge button stash. Maybe that's just me, but then I'm always like, oh, You know, like I just want to cast this off and they can wear it then. And so, yeah. Yeah,
No,
but
got
so
you.
you have the twisted ribbing here, and then you also have it at the folded cuffs, which I think are a really good thing to do because you can unfold them and it's going to look just as pretty. So if those little arms grow, get longer
As
wear
they
out of the
do.
sweater. They do. I kid you not, like Oren, David, my partner, was measuring Oren the other day and he was like, he's almost 85 centimeters tall. Where did that happen? He can reach the
Oh my
countertop,
goodness.
which we're like, what? No. This went
Now
too
move
fast.
everything from the countertop
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, luckily I saw it the first time that he tried to pull something off the countertop. I was there and I saw it and I ran and nothing happened. And ever since then, we've been really careful. But it's like, I was not prepared for Oren to grow that fast. No. So, Embrace, the sweater that I just showed, is knit in BC Garn Simila Melange, which is a beautiful yarn,
Gorgeous.
especially for kids' clothes. It's quite soft, but it also I think it's really warm, and it
It's
comes in gorgeous
gorgeous.
colors. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's super soft, but because it's a woolen spun yarn, it's very light and lofty, but it traps all that air in, so it's nice and cozy as well. So I love, this is my first time working with this yarn. It was your suggestion and I'd never used it before, and I was so happy you suggested that because I loved it. It's quickly become one of my favorite yarns.
Yeah. Do you remember what the colorways are called? Because I don't.
The numbers. I think
they're
the
numbers.
blue,
Yeah.
the blue is number 8, I think. I can't remember what the cream is. They have a ton of colors though.
They do. But you can find
And
all
they're
of
all
the color
lovely.
numbers either like on our website and on the Ravelry pages. So if you're curious about the exact numbers in the sample, you can find them there. So yeah, so Embrace is the one garment pattern. The other garment pattern that we have is Joy, his sweet little
So
Cardi.
cute.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. I love that one.
I love this one as well. And it's honestly, so I knit the sample back in October, at the beginning of October, before we did the photo shoot. And this is really the cardigan that Oren has lived in during these last few months. Like, that will be the one that Oren will grab in the morning when we ask them, what do you want to wear? So yeah.
Oh,
I absolutely love it. So this like Embrace is a top-down construction, which I also love for kids because you can try it on the same as you would do for a grown-up sweater and just knit them to the length that you want, because babies' bodies can be very, very different. You know, like we do give indications in the collection which age group corresponds roughly to which size. But then, you know, like my body looks different to Claire's body, looks different to your body, and same as for kids. So, you start at the top. You do some sweet little increases, raglan increases, and at the same time, you start working the cable that runs down the shoulder and then the length of the sleeve. And then you put the sleeves on hold and you work the body, which is plain stockinette, except for that it has these cute little fake seams here.
I love that. It looks so sweet.
Me
I love
too.
that it just breaks up the stockinette
Yeah.
a little bit.
I think it's just, you know, I'm just always happy if there's like, because the sort of fake seam, it's continued down the underside of the arm, you know, and then it runs here. And I just love having little design features like that. I think it makes it a little more special.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah, and then it's just straightforward stockinette until you reach the end of the body. And then comes one of my absolute favorite new design discoveries, which is a continuous button band and hem and neckline at the same time.
I never even thought of this.
So here's a fun thing. Speaking of iterations that our designs go through. So at the beginning, when I was writing the pattern, I had you cast off the body, then knit the sleeves, and then pick the body stitches back up, pick up all of the stitches for the button band for the neckline, knit the continuous button band neckline hem. And then in tech editing, I actually figured out, together with Marina, a wonderful tech editor, I could just have the button band knit first, and you don't even have to cast anything off. You just have the live stitches of the button band, of the body, and you knit the first row of the button band, and then you pick up along the front for the button band, and then for the neckline.
I love that.
So anyone who's super confused,
how is it that more people don't do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool technique. So at the end of the day, you knit the hem and the button band at the neckline at the same
So
time.
it's just all in the round.
It's all in the round. It's all in the round. And you do increases on the edges every other row so that it actually forms corners, and that works out super, super well. And the other option that gives you is that you decide where you want to space your button. So for the sample, I decided that I wanted to have 3 buttons at the very top because I like these little cute onesies to peek out underneath.
Because he has some cute onesies.
Yeah, I love kids' clothes. Don't get me started. But I've seen there are already 2 almost finished objects. Like there's one finished object, and the other one I just saw earlier today on Instagram. She's sewing on the buttons, and both of them have decided for like other button placement. So either
cool,
further apart the buttonholes, or all the way down and stuff. And that's something that you totally can do, and the pattern will give you instructions how. Yeah, and then you end up with the sleeves, and you have these cute little cables running down the sleeves and some twisted ribbing, and that's it. And I love designing this. I'm so happy with it. I have yarn for at least like 5 more versions in my stash.
Really?
Yeah. It's also such a cute, like, I don't know. I would like to gift this to, like, I have a few friends who are expecting, so maybe,
Ooh, I think it's such a good gift. And again, it's one of those patterns where it's very potato chippy, and I'd be like, I just want to get to that button band because that must be so much fun to just sit and finish that, because I love button bands personally. I know some people are like mixed about them, but I quite enjoy doing the whole picking up stitches because it's normally when you finish off the piece. So I don't know, that seems like a fun new way of doing it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to try that.
Ooh, and the yarn. So this is De Rerum Natura yarn, a French company that I absolutely love, and it's their Ulysse fingering weight. Again, woolen spun, comes in a ton of different colors. This color is poivre et sel, so pepper and salt, and it's a warm beige taupey kind of color, and I love it.
They have the most beautiful colors. I'm going to shift to my right.
Ooh,
very swiftly because I can't see a thing. Tilly's coming with me.
That is fine, because I'll just then quickly continue with the other. Sorry, loves, I kind of flashed you there. Luckily, I'm wearing a shirt. I have half the sample stuck behind my laptop. So the other thing that we considered when we designed this collection is that especially if you're knitting smaller sizes for kids, you kind of end up with leftover yarn. And we wanted to reuse some of the yarns in different patterns so that you could, get the most out of the skein or skeins that you ordered. And so we used the same Ulysse yarn from De Rerum Natura for the Rebel mittens. I have 3 samples here.
Oh my God, so cute.
They are these.
I love those little stripes.
So they're designed to be striped. You can, of course, also just knit them in one color. But they're designed to be just really sweet little stripy mittens with a twisted rib cuff. And then for all of the sizes except for the newborn size, you have afterthought thumbs. So, here and
I
there.
love them.
These have been worn a ton. And this is actually really fun to report because they hold up really well. The yarn kind of felts a little bit, which I don't mind for mittens, and they're
I
really,
like
really
that for
warm.
mittens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll just get warmer and more hard wearing that way.
Yeah, exactly. And these, I think, would be a great project for any sort of leftover yarns that you have in your stash, or like here I use the same color that I used in the cardi as a contrasting color. Yeah, and I just really, really like how they turn out. The other fun thing that I love about this pattern is when I was designing them, that was way back in Oren's first winter when they were still really small. And I wanted to have a version with an I-cord that you could thread through the jacket so that they wouldn't get lost. But I didn't want to knit the same mitten twice. And so if you knit the version with the I-cord, you can do that in whatever size. The pattern will give you instructions for that. For one of the mittens, you will actually start at the top. So you will start here and work your way down to the cuff. Then you'll work the I-cord, the little string thingy, and then you'll cast on more stitches for the cuff and work your way down to the top of the mitten.
It's such a cool idea. I remember when you told me your idea about that, I was like, oh, that'd be so much fun. Because then you're not casting on and casting off again. And then, which is fine, especially with like tiny things, it's fine, but it just adds a little bit of extra interest and it stops it being boring.
I think it's one of those things that's absolutely not necessary, but I felt like doing it, and I've knit like quite a few of the newborn sizes, just because I wanted to try it out and figure out the best way of writing that part of the pattern. And it's just so fun. And these really, they are so fast to knit. Like you can whip up a pair of these in an evening. It's no big deal.
I'm definitely going. I have so many mini skeins as well that I never really know what to do with.
Yeah.
And I hoard every scrap of yarn that I ever say. I've got a whole drawer full of it. So those and the socks that you're going to be showing soon, because I have several friends all with babies coming along. So they're all going to be getting socks and mittens. Exactly. They're so cute. Look how cute they are. I love them. Look at the colors as well. It's such a cool color palette.
I know. It's I think you said this the other day, you love how they look like when they're all together, and I love this. Yeah. I love this too.
Because as well, you could completely mix and match between the pairs as well. So
totally.
And I'm thinking this for me as well. I think that's what I need to do to start getting second sock syndrome. Because I'll be completely honest, I end up wearing odd socks all the time anyway. I'm just gonna knit a bunch of fun ones in all different colors and just keep. It's
perfect. Ooh, I love that idea. I never thought of that. Yeah. Should I quickly talk about these? I kind of feel bad because I've already talked about two of my designs.
No, talk about those. We're good.
Okay, so these are the grow socks. So it's one pattern that comes with 3 different variations. So really, you get 3 patterns if you buy the grow socks. Yay! Great deal.
Yay!
All follow the same recipe. All are knit toe up with a German short row heel, but they're slightly different. So I'm going to start with the simple plain stockinette version. So this I designed so that you could play around with your favorite mini skein or, any sort of odds leftovers that you have in your stash. So I went with, sorry, I moved into the wrong direction there. So I went with 4 colors with this natural creamy white as the main color. And then I swapped which color I'd be using for the toe, the heel, and the cuff on these.
Oh my! I love them. I
And they're
love the
so,
different heels.
yeah, they're so cute. And it's been my first time designing a German short row heel. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little while to wrap my head around how this was gonna work, but I absolutely love it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for grown-up socks, just because a German short row heel means you don't have an instep, like you don't have
Hmm.
a gusset. Is that right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
So I was like, instep is not the right word. So you don't have a gusset, which means there's not a lot of space here in the foot. But for babies, this works really, really well.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and it just makes it, makes this really crisp
I
transition,
love that.
you know?
It makes,
Yeah.
I love it. It's the same with like afterthought heels. They always
Mm,
make um, such good socks for contrasting heels because it
yeah,
looks so clean. It is a bit
totally.
restrictive size-wise for adults, so you do have to be careful. But I think for this, it's absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. It's
Yeah.
so cute.
Ooh, and if you prefer afterthought heels to short row heels, you can totally substitute them here. So that's
Mm.
absolutely doable. So this is the stockinette version, and then the second version is a little lace variation. So again, you start at the toe, you work your way through the foot, and this one I designed with just two colors, but of course you can do whatever you like. And it has this cute, I hope this is going
So
to show up on the
sweet.
camera well. It has this cute little geometric lace pattern at the leg, like, again, wrong side. Yeah.
It's so nice.
And I just love this. Like, I think it's such a fun way to add interest to a sock. I mean, color obviously is one way.
Yeah.
But then this little sweet lace thing, it's not overly frilly or fuzzy, and it's a super
Mm.
intuitive lace repeat. Um, yeah, and I really like it. And then
I
the
love
third
them.
variation, I wanted something that was really super cozy. And in my opinion, it doesn't get cozier than ribbing. So these are the 2x2 rib socks where you knit the leg and the top of the foot in 2x2 rib. And just for a little bit of extra interest, I added these cute little stripes. They kind of remind me of, tennis socks or sports socks.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is really fun.
which I think is fun. Like, I think it's a cute way. Like, I don't know. I love seeing little ones in sneakers, and I just can see these peeking out of a pair of sneakers, and it would be the cutest thing.
It's so cute. They remind me of like retro, like
Yes.
the socks I used to have to wear for hockey
Yeah.
in school, that kind of a thing.
Mm.
I like
So
them.
yeah, I was really happy with those. And these have been designed with Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co's natural sock, which is a classic sock weight. So any fingering weight yarn will work well for these. I will say Emma has just had a shop update with a few beautiful mini skein sets, and these are perfect for mini skein sets. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Because
yeah,
again, it's one of those patterns. If you were to say you wanted to knit all the versions and you wanted lots of different colors, it starts and it's a lot of yarn if you get all those colors in large skeins, and you end up
yeah,
with unless you're
totally.
going to make that many socks, which you totally could,
Yeah,
but it's a lot of leftover yarn. So this is where stash busting those small pieces of yarn that if you're like me, you hoard forever,
yeah.
or mini skeins, that's where they really come into play, and you can get a lot of gift knitting done for not very much time
Totally.
or money,
And
which
the
is awesome.
the thing is, like, I love mini skein sets when I want to try the work of a dyer that I haven't,
Hmm.
bought any yarn from. But I'm always stumped when it comes to what I want to knit, like what can I knit with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Unless you're gonna do the mitered square blanket, which I've been
true.
saying I'm gonna cast on for 15 years and just never do.
We'll check back in another 15 years.
Yeah.
Ooh, but blanket
Yes.
is
Cuddle.
an excellent segue into this.
I didn't even plan that. Look at me go on the live YouTubes.
It's lovely.
Oh, I'm really excited about this one, especially because it's actually a really straightforward knit. It looks like it could be a little bit complicated, but
I'm
it's not.
trying my best to show this, but you
It's
just
got
keep
quite a.
talking. I'm
I
gonna
keep
do.
talking. You just wander around the room with it. So yes, cuddle was basically what I was saying at the beginning of I wanted to approach my designs as so they're as relaxing
Mm,
and fun to knit as possible. And one of the things when it comes to blankets that I'm never a huge fan on is if you have to cast on a ton of stitches or bind
yeah.
off a ton of stitches or pick up loads of stitches. There normally seems to be some aspect of that going on. And so I wanted to make something that you didn't have to mess around doing all that with. So you actually begin by casting on only 3 stitches. And the first section of the blanket is if you've ever knit a triangular shawl. Um,
Sorry, I'm just trying to.
it's very drapey. That's the other thing you'll learn about this
Yeah.
blanket, which makes it hard to. Yeah, so you cast on 3 stitches and you do a garter tab cast on, which means you knit cast on 3 stitches. You knit so many rows back and forth, and then you pick up stitches along the garter bumps and then into the cast on stitches, and then the way you increase from there out creates this nice triangle shape. So that's what the first section of the blanket is like, right up until
So
you
that's
finish
basically
that
this. It's
first.
really hard to show, but it's this
Yeah,
creamy white triangle that you see there.
that's like the first section,
Yeah.
and then we move into the first in the slip stitch sections. Oh, that's hard to say. Um, So that's the other thing. This blanket might look like it's got stranded color work in it, but it's not. You only use one color at a time, and it's just created with slip stitches. You
It's
introduce a
so
new color,
pretty.
which isn't it fun? I really like it. I mean, it's my pattern. I don't want to be like, but I was really happy with how it turned out, and just swapping those. So the lines that are running up,
Mm.
I just swapped those to garter as well, so you get these nice little pearl stitches peeping through um, next to the stockinette stripes. And it's actually a really intuitive knit. So once you've done the shaping and you've got it to the right width, then you increase and decrease on the same row. That means you kind of just then knit upwards and it stays the same width for the rest of the body. So I was really happy with how it turned out. So you just work that way in the middle, swapping your colors as you come to them. So it's in the pattern when you need to do those color changes. It's all pretty straightforward. And then once you get to the top, there's instructions for both corners. So you work both corners separately, but again, you just kind of work outwards until you have no stitches left.
It's
So
such a
yeah, no
genius
stitches to bind
construction.
off.
I can't wait to cast this on. Like, really, like, this is, I think, there are so many kids and baby blanket patterns out there. But I remember when I was looking for something that I wanted to knit for Oren, I wanted something that was a little special, but not super
Mm,
special, and that I could also configure with my own colors. And that's exactly what this is. And I just love the way that the colors flow together. I think this is genius. Like, this stitch pattern transition is so good, especially also because you're echoing those garter stripes in the little columns here. It's
mm.
so well done. And it's just also fun, like, I love having these garter sections. I can already see myself, like, oh, I just want to get to the end of the garter section. And then, oh, I just want to get to
Exactly.
the end of
I
the slip
just want to
stitch
get to the
section. It's
next.
like, yeah. And the other thing I think is, like, it's such a fun, like, graphic pattern with the chevrons. It's so
Yeah.
nice. And again, you made this beautiful coloring chart together with our graphic designer for this. So you can
Yes.
totally just print this out and play around with the colors and see which ones you like, which I think is absolutely genius. Because especially,
Exactly.
with a blanket, it is a time investment and it's
It
also
is.
a money investment in terms of the yarn. You want to make sure that you end up with
Exactly.
something that you truly love, right?
Exactly. It's a lot of time and money to spend on something. I think it's funny because I was always, anytime someone had a baby, I was like, oh, I'll just knit them a blanket because that's like an
Mm,
easy thing to do. And you don't realize until you've done one, um, that it's a big investment to do it. It's always well
yeah,
worth it. But you want to make sure you have as much control over the finished thing as
true.
possible, which is Camille, our graphic designer, did an amazing job with the coloring in chart. It's so
Yeah.
much fun, and again, it's one of those things you can print off the chart. So each area is charted, so you can easily follow it. Um, and there's also written instructions, but you can literally just print off your coloring sheet, print off the charts, and sit down. And then as it grows, you can do what
Yeah.
I did and get it over your knees
Love
and knit
it.
away and
Get
watch
Tilly under
TV. And
it. Yeah. Which
oh yeah,
yarn did you
Tilly
use
definitely
for
would.
that?
So this is O Wool's O Wash Worsted. Oh, a lot of W's. Um,
Yeah.
so this is washable yarn. Um, so this is created using an organic compound, as opposed to the process where it gets burned or wrapped in like a polymer coating. We actually have a lot more information. There's information on OWOL's website about this, and we also have a blog post. If you're interested in
Mm,
those kind of alternatives to superwash yarn, we have a great blog post up on our website. So do check that out if you're interested. And what it creates is a very squishy, drapey,
yes.
cuddly yarn, which is perfect for this, especially with those slip stitches, because you have to be careful if you are doing something with those slip stitches because you work 2 rows in one color and then 2 rows in another one as you are pulling those stitches over. If you're using a yarn that hasn't got a lot of elasticity in it, so if you were,
Yeah, I
say,
can see that.
a
Yeah.
very woolly woolen spun yarn that breaks easy, you could get like some puckering there
Mm,
sometimes, or it might not work quite as well. So something with a lot of drape, so a worsted spun yarn like this, and particularly something that has been made washable, it isn't necessary at all. A worsted spun yarn will work just as well, but where this one has been treated, it makes it very drapey, and because the
mm,
stitches don't like get super cozy with each other because of the way they're treated, you will get a lot of drape and you'll get a lot of that stretch. So if you were looking to substitute for this yarn, I definitely pick something, a worsted spun yarn that's quite smooth, that doesn't
mm.
felt super easily, and you'll get that same drape.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, and as Claire said, I mean, if you've been following us for a while, you know that we don't use any superwash yarn. And the classic superwash process is what Claire mentioned. It's coating the yarn in polymer, essentially in plastic, and or burning the scales of the fiber off. And there are significant problems with that. Like we've gone into detail about this in our blog post. So if you're interested in learning more about that, head over to the blog just or search for superwash on our website and you'll get, pointed into the right direction. That being said, it's babies. Babies spit up. Babies spit up on even the most beautiful blankets. Yes, Tilly, that's right. um, and you need to be able to wash those things. Like, and we understand that. Like, I mean, as much as we're critical of the traditional superwash process, we understand that there are situations where you want to have something that is actually washable in the machine. And so going for these eco-certified washable yarns like Owool's Owl has an entire O wash line that's all treated with this organic compound. We think is a really good compromise if you're looking for a washable yarn, but not something that has gone through the traditional superwash process. So yeah.
Exactly.
Ooh, you know what I realized?
What?
I'm missing one sample. Doesn't matter. We're going to talk about this. I'm missing the hat. I think it's because...
Has Oren been wearing it? Is
Yeah,
it on
he
your
has.
child?
No, it's not, but it's somewhere over there. You know what we're going to do? So I'm going to put this lovely cowl over on my chair, and you just keep talking about it while I run and grab the last sample, okay?
Sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. Okay. So, Treasure's now being wonderfully modeled by Hanna Lisa's chair. Good work. This is a cowl that I designed for the collection. We wanted something that would be snuggly and warm and cozy, but also a little different to a traditional cowl, which can sometimes not be super effective. Well done. She's back. Well done. That was really swift.
Yeah. Luckily, it was on top of the pile of hats and scarves and stuff that's in our corridor.
I thought you were going to come back and go, he's wearing it at the park.
No.
So I was just saying that Treasured isn't, it's a cowl, but not a super traditional shaped cowl, in that it's not just a tube. I find a lot of time with cowls, as lovely as they can look, if they are purely for keeping the wind out, when they're kind of like flopping and they're doing things, and I've never yet made a cowl work for me, and I think especially where little ones riddle around and they do things, something that's going to stay put and keep them really toasty is definitely a must. So I decided to go for kind of like a, do you call them turtlenecks or polar necks in Germany? What do you call that with like a turtleneck?
Yeah.
See, we call them a polar neck. Or maybe we call it, who knows? But anyway, like a turtleneck style, almost like a little mini sweater on the top. So you start at the collar and you cast on, and then you knit twisted rib, which can be a little bit of a pain. I know. If anyone out there is like, oh, twisted rib, because pulling through the back loop can be a little bit of a pain. But because it turns over, it looks really sweet and
yeah.
You
want to have that reversible effect. So the thing is, oftentimes I will substitute half twisted rib, so just twisting the knit stitches and purling the purl stitches for full twisted rib. But if you have something like this where you want to fold it over, that won't work because it will look different on the inside than on the outside. Yeah.
Exactly. I even thought about doing the thing where you do half twisted rib, knit it, and then slip the first stitch, and you can turn your work inside out, which I've done on hats before, which means that you then have the plain knit stitches on the outside and the twisted stitches on the inside. So when you turn it up, just the twisted shows. But because the twisted ribs get carried all the way through, it's just, if it lifts up, it looked messy. I did try it on the first attempt and it looked really, it just looked weird where that join was. So I abandoned it, and I hope you all
it's fine. It's actually, because this is like, that was the first thing that jumped on my needles. And I know I messaged you. I was like, oh my God, 10 centimeters of twisted rib. What are you doing? And it's actually really fast, like, especially because the yarn is a DK weight, it's surprisingly fast. And the other thing is, because you start with it, you have all that lovely cabling goodness and the shaping and stuff to look forward to. And I think the shaping is really genius. Like, it's just super lovely. It looks so nice in the end as well. It's like, it's so cute.
Thank you. I was really happy with that it worked because I thought of it in my brain, and then I was like, oh, this is going to be tricky. And it actually really wasn't. So you start with a folded turtleneck collar, and then what you essentially do is do very gentle raglan shaping for the shoulders. So you
Here
just create like this
and
little bit of
here.
shoulder space. The stitches that I guess essentially for a traditional sweater shaping would be the sleeves were kept in twisted rib. Excuse me. And then you start this little cable detail down the front, and the twisted stitches get carried down through that for that middle little, which looks like a twisted cable, but it's actually just smock stitches. So
Yeah.
the only cables that you're actually doing are the really simple ones on the edges. The middle section's just wrap stitches. So it gives that nice effect without you constantly having to mess with your cable needle or whatever. So yeah, you knit the yoke, you do the shaping, you knit straight on the body for a little while, and then all the stitches for the sleeves and the back are put on hold, and you knit the front section flat and decrease down to a point. Just to give that little bit of shaping, I thought it'd be nice rather than just sitting
Yeah.
straight to come down a bit and be super cozy. Plus, it almost looks like a little fake sweater under. So
It
if your kid's
does.
like got your onesie on and then you put that over and you got your jacket, it looks like he's wearing like a little turtleneck cable sweater thing, but then you can whip it off so they can run around and get warm in the house. So yeah, you decrease to a point and then you pick up stitches along that decrease, put everything back on the needles again, and finish it off with a twisted rib
Yay.
hem. So yeah,
Nice.
again, it kind of sounds. It seems like there's a lot of stages to it, but it's very intuitive. The nice thing about that is I find knits like that go over quite quickly because there's very definite sections to it, and none of the sections take particularly long to do.
Yeah.
You can be through it in no time.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the really fun things about this. So I'm in the middle of I'm almost done actually with the increase section.
Oh, fun!
So
I love that color.
so I started this on Sunday night, but Sunday I only did the cast on, and then I worked on it really Monday, and then yesterday over lunch, and yesterday in the evening a little bit. So it's really in no time, you'll get the nice little folded thing, and now like my stitches are spaced out a little weirdly here, but you can see the little cable detail.
It's looking so cute.
And it's so nice just because, as Claire said, like you have these different sections to look forward to, like turtleneck first, then the shaping, then straight, then the flat work, and then the hem. And I can't wait for Orin to wear this. We're supposed to get colder weather again, and I'm hoping that I'll have this finished soon for him because
Oh.
he can really use one of these. And I think the shaping is just so great. I remember when we did the photo shoot, I was like, yes, this is exactly what a baby or a toddler needs underneath their jacket, where, we had one of these wool onesies for Orin for the winter now. And I always find it super tricky, especially with an age now. Like Oren's walking and running around and stuff. And I always find the cowls that I would buy, they would kind of flop, and then I
Yeah.
really don't want them to wear a scarf because I'm just super scared that they're going to get stuck somewhere and then it's like
Yeah.
not not good. So I think this
Yeah.
is
Especially at
really
the
nice.
playground and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um so you don't want your kid to strangle itself. Like,
No. No.
no.
Not a
So
good
this is
idea.
perfect. Yeah. Yarn
Yay.
is gorgeous as well.
The yarn is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with it. It's oh god, I just blanked. It's John Arbon. I was about to say Garthenor, it isn't. It's John Arbon Knit by Numbers, and it's a DK, which is a merino. It's Falkland merino, and it's gorgeous. So they have all the colors in it. If you've never checked
All
out
the
Knit by
colors.
Numbers, it's so clever. So they dye the carded fiber, and then they'll take that dye color and mix it with different percentages of white to get all these different it basically looks like a watercolor palette when
Yeah.
they have it up. It's so cool. So for color work or for gradient
Yep.
sets, that's the right word. Um, it's phenomenal, and it's the softest, squishiest yarn I think I've ever mauled with.
Mm.
And I'm obsessed with it. I still have a sweater's quantity for me in a darker shade to that one that I need to I've been knitting so many
Mm.
sweaters lately, I need to calm down. But
No.
yeah, it's gorgeous yarn. I know. It's gorgeous yarn. So if you've never tried it and you're able to, I would definitely suggest getting it because it actually wears really well as well, even though it's merino, which is a very soft yarn. You will get some pilling, um, but once you give it a couple of brushes and everything, and it always holds up really well, and
Mm.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the other design where we chose to use the same yarn, for another pattern, because we figured that for most of the sizes, especially for the smaller ones, if you would buy a 100-gram skein of the DK weight, you might actually be able to squeeze both the cowl
Totally.
and this one out of
Yeah.
that. Um, so this is the last pattern in the collection. This is the warmth hat. The light is going. It's really dark. So sorry, this is
Oh
not
no.
going to show up super well. Um,
It looks good.
so this is a sweet little hat with this textured stitch. So it's reverse stockinette, and then you have these twisted knit lines running down the
It's
increased
so
lines, and then
cute.
just little, kind of like little columns of the same twisted stitches before you then go into a bit longer columns for the ribbing, which I actually really, really like. It's a super intuitive knit. And what I also love about it is that it's completely customizable in length. And there's a funny story here because I actually ripped part of this back because I knit this way back when Orin was a lot smaller. And then I figured, I should probably try on this sample before the photo shoot, and realized that their hat had grown so much that the hat didn't fit anymore. So I had to rip it back
Which
and add on
I'm not
length.
surprised. We had to push it back several
Yeah,
times because of COVID.
I
So
know.
we'd
But
like settled on sizes and then we're
yeah,
like, oh God, are
I'm
they
like,
gonna
oh
fit?
no. Yeah. So yeah, so that's a thing that I did, and that worked out well. And that worked out well because this hat is constructed from the top down. So you actually start here at the top with a sweet little cast on in the round, and you increase your way down the crown, and then you knit straight in the body until you get to the brim, which is again one of these
I love it.
fun construction techniques that just make it a little bit different, not more complicated, just it's a little different. And
It is,
i
which is
i wanted
nice.
to have that because I really wanted this to be length customizable, just out of personal
Yeah.
experience, not just because of the samples, but because, like, I don't know, there's just something about hat sizing that for kids that I can't really wrap my head
Yeah.
around. So yeah. And
And
then
I'm
you
quite
can top it off with like a big floofy pom-pom like I did, or you can do two little ones for a little bear look, or yeah.
oh, that'd be so cute.
I know. That was
Ooh.
David's wish for. So I'm gonna knit the cowl, and then I want to knit another hat in the same yarn. And he was like, "Can you do two little pom poms?" Like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely can do that. So yeah,
And
that's a
that's such a
kids
good idea.
collection.
I love it. I'm gonna need that hat in my size at some point as well, just so you
Ooh,
know,
you could totally
because I
size
really
this
like it.
up. Like, I
Yeah, do you
mean,
reckon?
they're the sizes. So that hat, like again, is sized up to age 6. You'll see that we have different sizes, like different amounts of sizes depending on the item. And that's mostly to do with that kids grow at different rates in different body parts. Sometimes it also has to do with how stitch counts work out. So this is something like you can totally size this up for your own size. Why
That
not?
might be happening because I really love it. And I've got this thing about like, why do people not do top-down hats more often? Because hats are one of the things that I love knitting, and I knit the wrong size, especially if it's a one size fits all
Mm,
thing. My head's big. So I always give it a go and then I put it on and it's too small. So
yeah,
that'd be so good if you just try
true.
it on as you go.
Yeah. So yeah, lovelies. I think we're about to wrap it up. So if you have
Yeah.
any last questions for us, send them our way now. The kids collection, as I said earlier on, is a digital only collection. There are a few different options how you can get it if you like what you saw. So you can head over to our website. So we'll be linking to that in the down bar below. And you can either get the full ebook with all 8 patterns and a sweet little note on sizing and things. Or you can get all of the patterns as individual PDF downloads. Or third option, if you're like, okay, I really like these 3 patterns, but I don't want to buy the full collection, you can totally do that and check out the website. There are 2 coupon codes, so you get discounts if you buy 3 patterns and if you buy 5 patterns. And you can find all of that information in the website. And maybe are we gonna put the discount codes in the down bar below? I think we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
So all the options. If you are using Ravelry and you would prefer this to directly be in your Ravelry library, all of these options are also available on Ravelry. So the full ebook, the bundles with the same discount codes, and the individual patterns. And we're working on getting all of this set up on Lovecrafts as well, if that's where you have your pattern library. So yeah, there's that.
Awesome.
So Florence asks, will you have an older kids collection? It's hard to find patterns for that in-between age. So I'd be up for it. I'll be honest, what we realized is, and we naively maybe thought that wasn't the case, grading for kids is exactly as complex as is grading for adults. So if you're doing a 10 size kids cardigan or sweater, as we did, this is going to be exactly as complex as doing 10 adult sizes. I don't know why we both thought this wasn't the case.
I know it
But
seems so stupid
it
now,
makes
but
so much sense that it
yeah.
absolutely is. So going with these patterns and grading them up, I think is definitely something that we're open to explore in the future. I'll be honest, I can't see us doing that anytime really soon because we have a lot of projects on the plate. Like,
Yeah.
there are a
Yeah.
couple of, some of them we've talked about, others we haven't talked about yet publicly, but there's a lot that we're planning for this year. And so I would say we're open to it. We don't have a time frame for that yet. If you'd like, if there's a specific pattern that you love, Florence, and you'd like to size this up, just send us an email and we'd be happy to help you out, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I think most of them,
Yeah.
if you are a knitter who's done, you know, a little bit of sweaters work, you know, maybe before, all of the stitch patterns will be, they will also work for larger sizes. You know, it's not as if we have an all over cabled something that would be incredibly hard to size up. So happy to help in the meantime.
Definitely.
With that.
I think as well, this was definitely not an experimental thing for us to do, but we've never done a kids collection before. We've never done an in-house collection before, and we've never done it this way where we do all the individual patterns and we do bundles and we do the rest. So I think what we'll probably do as well is just see if people liked that from us as well, if that's something we'll go on to do again. But also because we did publish them individually, I can definitely see at some point if there are enough people wanting larger sizes in particular patterns that potentially we could pull out one or two, say maybe the 2 main garments, and grade those up and just have them available as an individual pattern as well, rather than going in and grading up the entire collection again. That's probably more doable for us. So if there are people interested in that and certain patterns being graded, let us know. As Hanna Lisa said, there's a lot going on at the moment. I can't see us getting to it super soon, but if we know that that's what people want, we will always try and accommodate that. So
yeah. Yeah, true. And Florence, I just realized you made the beautiful green Joy cardi with the gorgeous wooden buttons.
Oh,
Yay!
it's so good.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Ooh.
So do send us an email. I know that we've chatted about this on Instagram, but happy to help out with grading this up for your bigger kid as well. Alrighty, lovelies. I don't think any more questions before we wrap up. I'm just looking at this stack of, I love stacks of knitwear, and I have the stack of samples here, and it's so squishy.
I know, I love.
And I can't wait to dive back into this one. Seriously, it's so much fun.
Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's always it's like you were like, I'm gonna cast on treasure first. I was like, ooh. I hope you like it after all this.
I love
one thing
it.
I will say before we go, if you've enjoyed spending a little bit of time with us here, just to let you know, we did publish a new podcast episode that we've been working really hard to get the tech figured out for. If you watched any of our previous podcasts, you will know that it's a little bit hit and miss sometimes, and the video quality and audio quality have been a bit patchy. So we have a brand new podcast up that hopefully all those things are solved and is much more watchable. So if you want to spend a bit more time with us and find out more about what's on our needles and what's happening over at Making Stories, head to the rest of our YouTube channel after we've finished here and have a little nosy around. And that's how we'll be keeping the podcast going from now on, with that kind of tech setup.
Yeah.
So do check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, and a huge thanks for the new tech setup and for figuring all of that out goes to Claire, because without you, Claire, and without being insistent on, we can't do this. This is, and spending 9 hours editing it in Premiere Pro.
Premiere Pro, I will work you out.
Yes. But it's just really nice because we love doing these videos, and we just, we were a little sad every time that we were rewatching one of it, and we were like, oh no, as you said, it's a little patchy again. So the new episode is really, really good. Also content-wise, we look good because the video looks good. Also because we just look good. But anyways, it's a good episode. Go check it out. Also, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Definitely. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. We're publishing new episodes every other week. And with that, I'll call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in, lovelies. And we hope to see you in one of our podcast episode comment threads. Bye, loves.
Bye.